welcome to the Red Barrels podcast. It's episode 36. And most importantly, today, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, it's May Day, sort of. Like the Socialist May Day was on Friday. I hope you had a good time. But today's the May Day that the government would like you to observe because it's the bank holiday, you know. So some would call this the fake capitalist May Day. But we did just pass the real Marxist May Day, and I hope you all had a good time and enjoyed yourselves. I assumed you went on some marches, organised a strike in your workplace.
Well, speaking of Alex, if it's the 4th of May when this comes out, 2026, that is the centenary of the general strike of 1926, I believe.
Wow.
Started on the 4th of May.
Wow.
It's a real historian right here. I guess that is true. That is probably true, yeah.
Probably don't fact check me in case I'm wrong, but...
maybe we should. That would be really embarrassing, actually, if that isn't true. So I'm going to fact check you.
All right.
I believe you, Ed.
Thanks, Soph.
2026.
I just believe you.
4th to 12th of May. It's true. True. Well done, Ed. Well done, Ed.
Thanks, Sofie. Thanks, Sofie, and a bit less thanks from you, Alex. Thank you.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, I'm just avoiding the hordes. You know, lefties like to complain on the
internet. You mean
internet.
like you? Fact checking your co-host?
Your beloved.
I did it for our own
friend.
protection.
Your beloved co-host?
It's like it's
friend
because
and comrade,
Ed is my
ADP.
beloved co-host. I double checked him. We've all got to look out for each other. Basically, I was carrying out an act of mutual aid, and you're snapping at me. I think might be a bit reactionary. I've got to say.
I'm not snapping at anyone.
Wow.
I feel like this is actually the reactionary response.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Checkmate.
Yours is the reactionary response.
Well, if you listeners enjoy circular firing squads as much as we clearly do, you'll probably want to know who's in the firing squad. Because first time it's me, it's Alex. Who else is joining me?
Me, it's Sofie. Who else?
It's me, Ed, who knew a history fact and will never let anyone forget it.
I was not doubted by one of his comrades.
Hey! There was no doubting. There was no doubting. It was trust but verify. I think it was that wasn't that.
Trust but verified is crazy.
Yeah, that was Donald Rumsfeld who said that, wasn't it? Some Bush guy back in the Iraq War days.
I guess that shows you our historical priorities. I remember the height of the workers' movement in the UK, and you remember Donald Rumsfeld. But on that note, should we move on to the news stories? This really is a circular firing squad. I think we should immediately move on to the news. This is a news episode. Next week, it's going to be games. Hope you enjoyed the games last week. I'm going to explain this every week, every episode, until the heat of the universe, the order of things. But this is a news one, so we've got news to enjoy, to expel, but also to ingest. You know, I didn't like that.
We've all enjoying the news.
I don't want to ingest something that's also been expelled. I'm going to be honest.
I mean, you drink milk, don't you? I
don't expel milk. What do you mean?
You don't expel milk, but it has been expelled. Where do you think milk comes from, Sofie?
That's why I'm going to become vegan.
Well, you're not there yet. No. You're not there yet. And, I'm sure all sorts of vegetables are also, you could say they're expelled from the ground.
I hate it. I hate it.
Anyway, let's do some of this news. And the first up with the news is your favorite enjoyer of expelled substances. It's Sofie.
I'm going to expel some news about Xbox real quick. I guess some announcements from the We Are Xbox memo that the CEO, Asha Sharma, expelled about the company.
The new CEO.
That basically, I've got a couple of things here. Most of them are kind of vague implications, vague rumors, the other things, but the sort of most specific thing we got is that the price of Game Pass, I guess that's Game Pass Ultimate, which I suppose is the Game Pass on console, right?
Yeah.
Is being decreased from $30 per month, which is quite a lot, to $23 a month, which is slightly less than quite a lot. And PC Game Pass is going to be decreasing from $16.50 to $14 per month. However, I guess previously included with Game Pass was day one access to any Call of Duty titles, including new Call of Duty titles. That's changing. So future Call of Duty titles will now no longer be included on launch day on Game Pass and will now only be joining Game Pass like a year later. They said the following holiday season or a year later, basically, is what they said after the initial release. That change was reportedly made in response to consumer feedback, according to the newly appointed Microsoft Gaming CEO Asha Sharma. Some other announcements included basically speeding up updates for features on console, which some players have complained about that the updates are too few and far between. A departure from Microsoft Gaming branding, which has sort of been interpreted as overly corporate and too far removed from Xbox's original brand identity. And some other more vague appeals to the Xbox fan base, including prioritizing Xbox's console ventures rather than its extensions, like PC, mobile, and cloud. Prioritizing daily active players. They said that this was new. Some people in the comments disagreed that that's always what they've prioritized. So daily active players as opposed to sales. Yeah, like sales or Xbox Game Pass subscribers. These are just people who are logging onto their Xbox devices, or I suppose on PC, like every single day. Prioritizing strong cost discipline, quote unquote, which does sound a little suspiciously like layoffs to me. And also, quote, reevaluating their approach to exclusivity, windowing, and AI, unquote. Exclusivity was alluded to more than once in the announcement, which, makes people think that maybe they're going to be looking at having more exclusive titles on the Xbox, which is something players have seen like a really big decline in since the days of the Xbox 360. Obviously, then the sort of like PlayStation, Xbox, exclusive battles, but now you kind of just don't really see that many exclusives, if any, for Xbox anymore. To me, it all sounds just kind of rather generic and corporate, and looking at the comments on the article that I read, most people seem to agree. It just seems like more of the same, of people being like, we're going to prioritize the players and the customers, etc. But like, who knows, right?
Yeah, they're not going to come out and do a big announcement and be like, we hate the players.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, exactly.
We're done
By the
with
way,
them.
we really
Just so
care
you know,
about
guys.
shareholder value, like much more than you guys. Like, just in case that any of that was ever in doubt, like, fuck you guys. Obviously, we're saying still boycotting Xbox. So, don't support them. If any of this is like, maybe I should give them my money now. No, don't. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Naughty.
It's worth saying that in the UK, they've reduced the Game Pass Ultimate from basically 23 quid down to 17 quid. So it's a similar drop. But as said, you shouldn't be doing anyway because it's on BDS. But it is wild that they raised it so high and then were just like, oh shit, no. And then brought it back down. And I do find the idea that like they're not going to put Call of Duty on Game Pass anymore kind of astonishing, because my kind of understanding of what was going on back when they spent ungodly amounts of money to buy Activision was like that's what it was for. It was
that was the whole point. Yeah,
Call of Duty on Game Pass, and then I'm like, okay, we're not going to do that after all.
In the article that I read, and also in a separate article which specifically talked about the sort of rising cost of Game Pass as it's gone on in years. Started at $10 in the US was the original price of Game Pass in like 2017, I think. A lot of fans cite the Call of Duty as the reason for the rising costs of, I guess it's just an expensive IP. To incorporate day one, but I don't know how true that is.
It's also been estimated that including Call of Duty in Game Pass has cost them $300 million. Like they would have made $300 million more if they'd just sold it rather than having it in Game Pass. So I think on the face of it, this sounds like basically a good move, like from the consumer's sake in the short term, like cutting out that one game, like it's not, and they'll make them more money. People get cheaper Game Pass. It sounds good. Obviously, there is the concern.
Like people who are going to play Call of Duty are going to buy it anyway. Sorry,
obviously, it sets a precedent. Is the only concern. Like, does that mean they're going to start doing this with all the real big stuff? Like, are they going to do this with Elder Scrolls 6, for example, when this comes out? Like,
That's the only red flag. But I mean, that hasn't actually that hasn't happened yet. So I guess I can't criticize them for it at the moment. But like, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, I think.
We can criticize an imaginary version. I do that all the time.
It is interesting also that they're like thinking to move away from go back to, I should say, the opposite of
I should say that
exclusive games.
They didn't say that obviously in any words, like not so many words. They didn't say that in any words, but literally the word exclusivity or exclusive came up like multiple times in the announcement. So that could be sort of like an over-interpreting and over-massaging of that point. But like obviously that word is heavily associated with Xbox and PlayStation exclusives. So clearly they're using the word as a buzzword for audiences.
I think they said that they're reconsidering their approach to exclusivity.
Yes.
So I think that does imply that they're considering like not having their games be everywhere anymore. And to me, that seemed
previously they were basically they were PC games that you could get on a console at the point they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about before on the podcast, it feels like that's such an obvious home run to, especially with all the IP that Microsoft have bought in the last few years. Like, if they started making stuff exclusive again, like there is a serious chance for them to basically roll back the clock. But now they've got more expensive IP, like, and like seriously compete in the next console generation if they want. And like the idea, I believe they said that they want Xbox to be affordable, personal, and open, which is quite different from what we were theorizing like last year was going to be the direction that Xbox were going to go in. Like, we were thinking the next Xbox might be like a very expensive premium product. And maybe that was wrong, or maybe that still will turn out to be true, or maybe that was correct at the time, and this represents a pivot from Microsoft to return to a more like classic conception of a games console. And if that is the case, I feel like a lot of gamers will welcome that and just welcome the presence of serious competition for Sony down the line.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously Xbox are under BDS, but the fact that Sony has been such has so totally beaten them is not really good for the industry as a whole. So at the very least, if Sony got a bit more competition, that would be generally pretty good. Although I'd much prefer it from someone who isn't implicated in genocide. Well, I think that might be Xbox.
That's it. Yeah.
It's also worth saying, I think actually sorry, real quick. I believe that the price of Games Pass is still more than it was like a year ago, though, because they do two price increases in the last year, and this sort of rolls back some of the second one. So it's not. I mean, I haven't got the stats to hand, but I think that's approximately true.
Yeah, I mean, again, coming out in 2017, and the original price was $10, and it was $30, and they've now brought it back down to $23. Like that's 300%.
Yeah.
In 3 years. Well, not in 3 years. I do vibes-based maths. I got the first one right. The second one was not right. In a number of years. So, like, that's a lot.
It feels like more of a reversal of a loss than it does feel like a win. Like, it's more like, okay.
Exactly. It feels more like an oopsie than oopsie doopsie.
Well, I mean, Game Pass is a great example of, the enshittification, right? Because when it launched, it was like a bonkers good deal. I remember I got a Series X at launch, and at the time there was some sort of deal because they still had Xbox Gold, which was the multiplayer thing. But if you bought Xbox Gold and spent £1 more or something, you could just turn it into Game Pass, which was cheaper than just getting Game Pass normally. So I literally got like a couple of years of it at the time. So I had this like cheaper price. So I had it baked in for a while. And that was great. But then they inevitably, turns out they were subsidizing it hugely. And now they want to make their money. So they just yank it up further and further, and to the point where it's just ludicrous amount of money.
And then they decrease it a little bit so that it's remained somewhat viable. And then we'll go,
and then we do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, Game Pass is literally it's a banned term in my Twitch chat, because people used to recommend it so often and so much that I found it really annoying, that I was just like, oh yeah, I want to play this game, but like, oh, it's so expensive. People are like, yeah, Game Pass every single time. I was like, I'm not going to. Or actually, not even that. They wouldn't even like get Game Pass. The reason I banned it was I found an even more irritating version was people would be like, oh, it's free on Game Pass. And it's like,
That's not free.
cool, I don't have it and I'm not going to get it. And it's not free then, right? You're still paying for it. And also they could just like remove access to it at any time. And then people were like, oh, they could remove access to your games anytime on Steam. I'm like, yeah, okay, but it's slightly different. And the chances of that happening are like slightly less. Shut up, leave me alone. So I banned it.
Yeah.
As you can
Fair
see,
enough.
it's a very
Fair enough.
activating argument that I used to have with just like random chatters. Like you'd have people who never chatted before in their lives who would be like, it's free on Game Pass. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what's free on Game Pass. Leave me alone.
I love a PTSD flashback to old internet arguments. It happens to me all the time. So fair play.
Yeah. Leave me the fuck alone, man.
And on that, I think we should probably move on.
Anyway, that's Xbox.
So next up, it's you, Ed. It's you, Ed, with your little news morsel.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
I'm really going to stretch this morsel out, so sit back and relax.
Oh, maybe it's a news. What's in between a meal and a morsel?
Bush.
A news snack?
Just
a news snack?
A snack. Yeah.
A snack?
I'm a snack, sure.
A news boosh? What is an amuse bouche?
A meal
What
would
is
be
that?
if we like had a special episode where we dedicated all to one news item. That would be a meal, right? So
That'd
this
be
is
a
less
feast.
than that.
Or
but it's a
I
bar-
mean, this is
feast.
kind of a 3-course meal, is it not?
Well,
Mine was like an appetizer.
Okay,
an
well, sit
aperitif.
back and enjoy your main course, because the workers at Build a Rocket Boy, supported by their union, the International Workers of Great Britain, IWGB, specifically their Game Workers branch, are taking legal action against Build a Rocket Boy for their mishandling of redundancies and also separately for highly invasive spy software installed on their computers. Now, I know you guys are all up to date on the Build a Rocket Boy situation because we've covered it in episode 12 and episode 30 of this podcast, but let me catch any slackers out there up. So the headlines are...
And can I just say,
No.
anyone who needs this recap, which we will give, I'm a bit disappointed in you. But just saying.
Yeah, we're not mad, but we are disappointed.
Yeah,
Isn't
not
that
me.
worse?
I don't need it.
No, not
Not
I.
me.
So yeah, the big picture was a GTA producer, Leslie Benzies, had founded a studio called Build a Rocket Boy, which will henceforth...
The Benz.
Yes,
Benz.
henceforth be known as Barb. And last year, they released their first game, Mind's Eye, which was, unfortunately, terrible. I mean, I've never played it, but all the reviews shafted it. For example, it's got a 39 on Metacritic. And that's one of the higher indices I see out there. Following this failure, the studio started laying off its staff. They announced layoffs of 100 of their 500 workers pretty swiftly after launch, and they're mainly based in the UK. By October 2025, in an open letter to management signed by 93 workers and supported by the IWGB, it was estimated that between 250 and 300 workers have been made redundant. That letter accused Barb of a lack of transparency and a lack of communication, of enforcing 8 hours per week of mandatory overtime, for which you could take back 7 hours, which basically means they were just stealing an hour from every one of their workers every week.
Right.
And it accused them of mishandling redundancies. The letter demanded a public apology, proper compensation for laid-off workers, proper engagement and recognition with their union, and a commitment to using an external partner to handle future redundancies. Jump forward a little bit. A few months ago, again, as we've covered recently, we were still hearing about the layoffs, but more bizarrely, they announced that the reason for the failure of Mind's Eye wasn't that it was poorly optimized, buggy, and a poorly received game that was rushed out in an unfinished state from a not very well-known studio. No, it couldn't be that. No, it was sabotage, according to the co-CEO of Build a Rocket Boy, Mark Gerard, who incidentally is best known to me as the former CEO of Jagex, who introduced microtransactions into RuneScape. So not got a warm feeling towards him anyway.
I think we have a new villain for the podcast. We're going to bring that guy back.
Mark claims that the TikTok and YouTube management network, Ritual Network, were some of the people to blame for this sabotage, describing them amusingly as a very big American company, despite them being based in the UK. They had, according to Mark, spent €1 million bringing workers, journalists and influencers to besmirch and undermine Mind's Eye. Ritual Network, of course, deny this. Why? I'll tell you later. No, I won't. I don't. I've got no idea. No, okay. So it's worth noting, a month before Barb accused Ritual Network of sabotage, the YouTuber Cyberboy, who was allegedly being paid by a ritual network and formerly is associated with them, released a video titled "Leslie Benzies is in the Epstein Files." So who knows? Perhaps that had a small part to play. The video has been taken down following a cease and desist from Barb, and I'm going to quote a statement from the IWGB now, word for word, just to make sure we're not stepping in any legal landmines. Benzies is also facing allegations of sexual assault after being named in the Epstein files by Sarah Ransom. Allegations he firmly denies. Following media reports that Benzies has stepped back from the company in response to this, workers report that he has returned to active duties. So look, we at Red Barrels don't know anything more than is in public domain in regards to this. Allegedly in Minecraft, but
allegedly in Minecraft quite convincingly.
But I think it's fair to say that this is a troubling report, and the suggestion that he stepped back and then unstepped back raises obvious questions about what the process was behind all of that. Anyway, let's get back to the
I think it's actually more
today.
likely that if anything, I think it's more likely that if anything did happen, it was actually in RuneScape, not Minecraft.
That's a good point. Yes. Anyway, back to the allegations of sabotage. So in response to these clear attempts at sabotage, Barb took a number of steps. The most ridiculous one, possibly, is also the latest one, which is that they've released some new content for Mind's Eye just a couple of days ago now, basically making fun of the people they've accused of sabotage. So in the game, that's like I say, it's been like 2 days at a time of recording, maybe 3. The director of the Assassins Company in the game says that there is a ritual network trying to take him down, and your character responds, "Sounds like you've got a real pest control problem." Got him. Checkmate. There's also a character now in the game called DJ Bunnyhouse, who has been interpreted as a stand-in for Cyberboy. I got this from Samuel Giglielmo, sorry about that, at techraptor.net. I haven't played this game, so that's taken from his write-up, so thanks very much for that. Because God knows I'm not going to play this game. Aside from this like embarrassing Drake tier subliminal shots, Barb has also responded to the alleged sabotage by installing, quote, enhanced cybersecurity software called Termamind on their employees' computers without telling them ahead of time, according to reports from Insider Gaming back in February. So that's the background. That's what we've mainly covered in previous episodes. But we have the update now, and that is that workers at Barb have responded through their union to both the layoffs and to the invasion of their privacy. So on the 12th of April, IWGB filed legal claims about the apparent mishandling of the redundancy process, which had made 300 workers redundant. They allege, to quote their statement, unlawful blacklisting, detriment, and failure to engage in collective consultations, which could cost Barb millions. On the 21st of April, IWGB put out the statement that I've just quoted from, and they also talk about a separate legal action that workers at Barb are bringing against the company. And this one's for the installation of the Termamind software, which they say, quote, violates both data protection laws and the workforce's basic dignity, exceeding the legitimate remit of monitoring workers' productivity or safeguarding the company's security by recording individuals in their homes and without their consent. So this Termamind software is very invasive. According to the IWGB, it tracks users' keystrokes, it records screen activity, and it can even capture microphone audio. And as I say, it was installed on these workers' computers without them being made aware of that ahead of time. It was just shoved on there sort of covertly. That obviously has been a backlash to this from the workers. 40 workers signed a collective grievance, and that led management to removing the Termamind software. But the workers still don't know what data exactly was collected, where that data is being stored, is it being stored securely, why this was really installed in the first place, what the justification was for putting it on their computers. So the IWGB are escalating this through ACAS, which is the Advisory Conciliation and Arbitration Service, which is an independent public body that aims to resolve workplace conflicts, and to the ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office. All of this stuff has added up to a toxic culture of secrecy and micromanaging, according to the lead cinematic designer at Barb, Chris Wilson. And he describes this as one of the worst I've seen in a 20-year career in the gaming industry. Chris Wilson had an interview with Kotaku that came out yesterday where he referenced the highs and lows of working on Mind's Eye and how, far from sabotaging it, the workers put their all into making a game that they hoped was going to be very, very special. And on that Kotaku article, actually, there was one element of that article in particular that was very bizarre to me. They had this interview with Chris Wilson, and then they reached out to Barb for comment, and they received a response from Mark Gerard, and then 4 hours later, they received a second response, seemingly from Barb's comms team, asking them to disregard the first email, which seems very unprofessional.
What a disaster! This
So
guy's such
bad.
a disaster.
And so
Oh my
Kotaku have
God.
thankfully posted both messages, and they are very
my
similar.
God.
So I don't really
Yeah.
get the need for them to roll back on it exactly. And they both feature. I'll read a little bit out so you can see that like how comparable they are. But they both feature this section in the middle of it, which is this like cringy, self-congratulatory, and frankly detached from reality bit about how great Mind's Eye is. So Mark's one says, quote, "Mind's Eye is a game that commands attention. It compels players to pause mid-scroll to do a proper double take and immediately start wondering when they get to play it. The title has generated substantial anticipation and interest for all the right reasons, even if some of that attention has arrived with rather questionable intentions." So that's the original. That's a
Wow.
quote from the original one. And then the corrected one from the comms team says, quote, "Mind's Eye is a game that commands attention. Bold, cinematic, ambitious, and built to get people talking. When creative work breaks through, it attracts players, critics, theories, debate, and best of all, the kind of mega fans who remind us why we built the thing in the first place. But attention also brings noise, and noise should not be confused with fact. Not every storyline is accurate, complete, or fair." And I found that very entertaining to read. And I think I like the second one more.
This man should
because-
not be writing copy.
My favorite bit in the second one is when they go, "When creative work breaks through, blah, 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 blah." Because that's not technically claiming that Mind's Eye is a creative work that has broken through.
When it does,
When
it's
it does,
really
it does.
good.
This
Listen,
is
when
great.
when it's good, it's great. When it is bad, it is garbage.
Don't worry about it.
And when we make one of those, it's going to be exciting.
Trust
Wow.
me, you're going to hear
When
about
it's
it.
creative, you guys will be eating your shorts. Let me tell you.
Genuinely, I am cringing from secondhand embarrassment. The idea of someone having written that
Someone
is
shouldn't have
so
lent him.
unbelievably
Jesus.
embarrassing. That's
I
got to be
love it.
one of the
Someone wrote
lowest
it.
points of your career.
Someone wrote it, and then they corrected it with something just as
That's it.
cringy. It's just such a mess. But yeah, this story continues to be strange and, to be honest, very entertaining to hear about. But it does sound like it'd be quite shit as workers of Barb, going by the
Yeah,
God, could you
IWGB statement
imagine?
and the direct statements from Chris Wilson. Most of the workers, understandably, have remained anonymous. But yeah, Chris Wilson's gone out there and put his name on record, so that's appreciated. Whether they're workers that have been let go and that which sounds like it was a poorly communicated and unfair process. To be honest, that poor communication bit is incredibly easy to believe based on what we've just heard. And so those people are now having to take legal action to try and assert their basic rights. Or whether it's workers that are still there and have spent the last several months with their computers being bugged and we don't know why or when or what's happening with that data. It sounds like it's shit to work at Barb. Yeah, and it does make me glad to have the IWGB Game Workers Union on the scene. Like they're a relatively young union in a sector that's not very well unionized, but there's this chance now for Barb workers to come together to be able to make things at least a little bit better, raise the profile of these kind of abuses at least. And it's good to see that these executives here clearly seem interested in stepping on other people at multiple points. At least the workers can now say together, "Fuck off." So I'm sure I speak for us all when I say solidarity to the workers there. And again, if you work in the games industry, we know how vulnerable that can make you, how executives will try and take advantage of you and treat you like shit. But just know that organizing, it's an option. And perhaps you could consider reaching out to the IWGB. That's my takeaway from the story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is just like very clearly a situation where this guy, Leslie Benzies, aka the Benz, he thinks he's shit hot because he helped make GTA, which has made, colossal amounts of money. And he gets out of that through questionable situation, Rockstar, but he managed to have a lot of his own money. And he just basically goes on an insane, vanity project based around his own ego. And it hasn't gone very well. Sometimes people can do that and they actually produce something. It turns out there's some incredible auteur and they can make something great. Pretty clearly, Leslie isn't one of them.
What I'm
or at
seeing
least it
with how
hasn't
they
produced evidence of it so far.
of what I'm seeing with how both Barb and Rockstar treat their workers is like you
Yeah.
can take the man out of Rockstar, but you can't take the Rockstar out of the man, unfortunately.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I mean, it must be. I feel my heart really goes out to the workers because not only is it just, it must be, not only does it sound like the working conditions are terrible, but just the idea that this is all just a ridiculous ego trip for this one weirdo is just that's also going to make it feel even worse, But who knows? Maybe
Documented
Leslie,
weirdo as well, allegedly.
Yeah.
So
Weirdo in ways that we aren't going to allege legally. But, who knows? Maybe the Benz will crash so hard that somehow
I was gonna make a car
workers...
crash joke. I was trying to figure it out. I was gonna be like, AKA Benz, AKA car crash of a man. I couldn't get it in there.
Well,
I
for
was workshopping it in my head.
thank you for stepping all over the joke I made, Sophie. You've ruined it. You've ruined it. I had made a good and well-crafted joke, and then you immediately interrupted me.
You're welcome.
I'm going to drop it.
Good.
But I'm sure listeners can appreciate I was going to make the most perfectly crafted Benz crashes joke you could have imagined. And, maybe in imagining what it could have been, the imagination will make it better than it ever could have been. But probably not. It's probably going to be incredible. You've missed out.
I want listeners to know that I was going to make a joke that was actually going to be far funnier than either of those two jokes, but just to put that on record.
Listen, I believe it. Mine wasn't very good. That's why I didn't say it.
Well,
I just talked about saying it,
That doesn't normally
Jokes are
stop me.
always funnier with an air of mystery about what they were,
This is a new comedy.
The only thing funnier than explaining a joke.
Yeah,
the only thing funnier than explaining a joke is hinting at what the joke might have been, hypothetically.
The jokes that are in the
it's not
absence
hearing
of the
joke and filling in the gap. Yeah. And then it's it's your own joke then at that point. It's your own little custom
podcast
joke.
gold.
As funny as you want it to be.
The true comedy jazz. It's all about the jokes you don't tell.
Schrodinger's joke.
Therefore, if it's not funny, like it's kind of your fault for not having made it
fault.
funny in your own head.
Like if you don't think it's that funny,
that's definitely
not my
well,
joke.
You should have thought of something funny then, shouldn't
you? So
I think that kind of extends to our entire
then.
podcast. If you think we're not funny, or you think that we made a bad point, or we didn't make a point that you thought was important, I think maybe you didn't consider what we were really doing with those.
I feel like now it's just giving
absences.
Now it's just giving comedian with a Netflix special who says he's being censored. You just didn't get it.
Maybe we
didn't
should
get my super problematic joke.
Maybe we should
you
move
just
on
don't
to
appreciate my humor.
the final. Final
pretty
story.
clearly, I have been cancelled, and so I'm going to talk about how I've been cancelled on the podcast I have. And I'll do that through my news bit. I guess the news dessert.
Yeah.
And, it is a little sweeter. Well, in some ways, it's the most unambiguously bad of the news, but it's probably the funnier bit of the news because I'm going to talk about Marty O'Donnell. Yeah, you guys know who Marty O'Donnell is, don't you? He is the famous games composer. The man, he started at Bungie in 1997, but then everything comes big in 2001 when Bungie puts out Halo, and he did the music. He had collaborators, but he's like the main music guy from Halo. He's the guy who did da-da-da-da, which I'm going to take a brief aside, which is to say that back in 2001, when I first played Halo at a friend of mine's house, and I heard that music, I immediately thought it sounded very much like the music from the intro sequence of Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. So look it up, everyone, and see if Marty O'Donnell is a plagiarist, because maybe he is. Maybe he is. I'm not making any allegations.
Allegedly.
I'm just saying I thought it sounded a lot like that. But now, probably this song is a lot more famous than that song.
What is he,
So
Tommy
everyone-
Tallarico?
Yeah, maybe a little
What
bit.
do you-
Maybe a little
What do you write? Every game soundtrack, 100 million game soundtracks
True.
performed to a performance of 3 million people in China or something.
Well,
Watch the video, guys.
That was a good video.
He made his mother very proud. We all know that.
He made his mother very proud.
But we're not talking about Tommy today. We're talking about
Man,
Marty.
we gotta get H. Bummer,
Marty
guys.
did the music to Halo. And, you know, undeniably, he's a very talented musician, and those are some very famous themes. He also did music for Destiny when it came around. He did all the Halo games that Bungie made, and then he moved on to Destiny along with them in 2014. However, before he could do that, and I should say, actually, before we talk about what happened, the music from Destiny is the original Destiny. We'll get into why he didn't do any further in a sec. Is quite good, but also he has a whole song from Paul McCartney that's in it. Like it was a bizarre thing where you could like go to some random corner of the world and just watch a little music video from Paul
That's
McCartney.
some Kojima shit.
A little bit. Yeah, it's quite Kojima-y.
Just Kojima coded. I know now because I played that game. I played the game that he made. Yeah.
And you know, Kojima, he's a star fucker. He loves if he could get Paul McCartney in his game, he'd do it in a heartbeat. So yeah, that is a weird little thing. But before Destiny could even release, he got fired from Bungie. Fired. He put out a tweet saying it was without cause. Finding some reporting afterwards suggest that
it may have been with cause.
It was actually because Activision, who owned Bungie at the time, put out a trailer for Destiny that did not include his music, and he got really angry about it and tweeted about it on the internet publicly, and it seems that this ruffled some feathers and eventually led to his dismissal. However, there may be other reasons that we'll get into in a bit. He then spent pretty much almost the next 10 years until 2022, basically having these back and forth lawsuits with Bungie. Now, to be honest, from like a kind of Marxist point of view, as a worker, it seems like he was probably legally, I don't know, but at least morally in the right in all of these, assuming that the allegations were true. It seems that he was suing for denied benefits that he should have got, like holiday leave and stuff like that, when he got fired. Later on, he did a whole thing where apparently he'd been posting Halo and Destiny music to his YouTube channel and Bandcamp and was getting some money off of it. And then Bungie sued him for that. And he was then forced to pay Bungie's legal costs and possibly had to pay them hundreds of thousands of pounds, or dollars. And then it was settled in some way that we don't know later on. It's very messy. He's a messy guy, it seems, from this. But, you know, maybe his general points were somewhat legitimate. However, he burned a lot of sympathy in 2025 when he announced he was running for Congress for the Republican Party. He ran in the Republican Party primary in 2024 in Nevada. I'm not sure what district in Nevada, but a district in Nevada. Oh, actually, here it is. I have the thing here. It is District 3. District 3. He came fourth. Didn't go well, but he was looking to take down Susie Lee, who won in the end, who's the Democratic representative there. The reason this is relevant is because Marty's back. He hasn't given up, and he is now running again. Unfortunately, he has got endorsement from Donald Trump. This has been a big deal on Marty's Twitter. Marty tweeted, "I am truly honored to have the support of President Donald J. Trump. The stakes in his midterm could not be higher. That's why when I started running, I promised I would drop out unless President Trump supported me so that Republicans could avoid wasting resources on a needless primary, like he did last time. Much like President Trump, I didn't come from the world of politics. I spent my entire career in the business world. I had the honor of working with some incredible people and composing music for some of the greatest video games of all time. I'm not going to DC for fame or money. I'm going because I'm a grandfather who deeply cares about what type of country his grandchildren will grow up in. I appreciate the trust that the president has put in me and look forward to working with him in Congress to continue delivering for working families and keeping our nation safe. Now it's time to ramp this thing into high gear and retire, all caps, Susie Lee in November." And there is a tweet, actually, I think this might be a truce or wherever it is they posted shit. In traditional Trump style, it's very long and long-winded and kind of goes all over the place. But he says, "Martin McDonald has my complete and total endorsement to be the next representative from Nevada's 3rd Congressional District. In caps, he will not let you down." But suffice to say, elsewhere in this, promoting all sorts of American energy dominance, all caps, stopping migrant crime, all
Classic.
sorts of this. Oh, and it was worth saying, Trump also declares that Susie Lee, the Democrat, is a true radical left extremist, as we are radical left extremists. I don't think we'd agree. But apparently she does not represent the values of Southern Nevada. Susie Lee wants open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone, defund the police, and wants to take away your Second Amendment, meaning, your guns. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Cool.
Sounds like a
So
nightmare.
Marty O'Donnell, if you go to his Twitter account and just looks through what he's been posting, is now absolutely 100% Trumpist, full on Republican in every single way. Here he is slagging off Ilhan Omar. It's slightly complaints about Hassan Piker elsewhere.
Classic.
Here he is with Dean Cain, who was Superman on TV in the 90s and is now some sort of fascist, basically. Here he is complaining about all the unfettered immigration into the United States and all the classics. And it's worth saying that not very long ago, there was a bit of a kerfuffle when the Trump White House put out one of their videos showing ICE, raids and stuff for ICE recruitment. And it had music from Halo and it had Master Chief. And it says something like, it basically suggests that the immigrants are like the Flood in the Halo games, which is like, they're basically like zombies. They're like a parasite zombie alien things in the games.
Yikes.
And being connected to Halo, Marty tweeted, "When I defeat Susie Lee next year and get to Congress, I will work with the Trump administration to destroy the Flood once and for all." So, yeah, he's a genuine piece of shit. And I think reading through some of if you go back through all the reporting from back when Marty got fired and all that, it's generally pretty sympathetic for him. People generally thought, pretty outraged that, the composer of these great themes was summarily fired for unclear reasons and were very much on his side. And so there's a number of interviews and so on. But reading between the lines, it seems like he was always kind of a massive prick and although it seems that he's definitely gone off the deep end, he was always like the most right-wing guy in the company. And probably probably most of the people who worked there did not like him very much already. It seems like it is, and his spat with Activision, who owned Bungie at the time, probably did not help matters. So yeah, that's the tale of Marty O'Donnell.
The sorry old tale.
Yeah. So as I say, it's unambiguously bad news that a guy who made music you might like turned out to be a fascist, but it's also a bit funny because he's a pretty risible figure in a lot of ways, and he did lose very badly last time. And judging by the polls, it doesn't seem like he's likely to do terribly well, even if he does get through the primary this time. But, they also might just suspend democracy entirely in America. Who knows? Who knows? And it's good to know that the guy who wrote the Halo theme, if that happens, he'll have a little part in that. Yeah, so we can all look forward to that.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gross.
Unfortunately, there are, the games industry in general is, I wouldn't say it's lefty, but it's generally pretty liberal for good and ill. But there are occasionally people, these weirdos, who just come out and it turns out, oh, right, they were pretty horrible all along. And unfortunately, it turns out Marty O'Donnell's one of them.
At least you've still got Michael Salvatore, the co-composer of all the Halo themes. I've got no idea. Maybe he's lovely. I don't know. Let's just assume that he is.
He joined in with a number of Marty's lawsuits, perhaps legitimately, but it suggests they're not like they didn't hate each other.
Yeah.
So they may still be friends. We don't know. As far as I know, he's not running for Congress. And he hasn't endorsed him, Marty. So who knows? But we can't really say. But yeah, I don't think he's working on the music anymore either.
He got
Bungie.
Let go in very recently, 2023.
2023, yeah. In general, yeah. But Bungie have been, having a lot of upheaval, and they're kind of. It seems like they're kind of winding down Destiny anyway. Although, depending on how Marathon does, I suppose. But I suppose Marathon means that's like the first completely Marty O'Donnell,
not Martin McDonald, the yacht rock singer. Yeah, I guess that's the first completely Marty O'Donnell free Bungie product in a very long time. Yeah, so I guess you can play that without worry. But I mean, I'm not saying you should necessarily boycott Destiny or Halo games because of that. You should boycott Halo games because they're owned by Microsoft. Yeah, and you know what? I think that's it for news, which means it's it for the episode. Yeah, we did it. We got through it.
Well done, guys.
We're alive. We survived. Maybe even we're thriving. Might want to say we're thriving.
Yeah,
maybe.
Ed kind of gave a look at that, but then I think he came around. He kind of came
I don't know.
around.
I feel like the joke discourse maybe made me feel like we're not quite thriving yet. But, I think we're getting there,
Then the rifts have opened in the Red House
the rifts
collective.
deepen.
Wow. Jeez, I've not been paying attention. Oh no. Well, look forward to the three-way split podcast in the future. It's inevitable. We're a leftist project. It's going to happen. Usually, people are saying they're going to do splits from your party.
Yeah,
we
I'm
love
gonna do a little
split.
solo project.
We love a split. We love a split. So yeah, you can look forward to the.
Oh wait.
You can look forward to the Acrimony in many episodes to come, I'm sure. And where will that beef begin? Most likely on social media, where we would desperately beg you to promote us, to share us, review us on Spotify and on Apple. Do everything you can to let every single person in your life know that you have dedicated your life to the Red Barrels podcast. Make it unambiguous. Have tattoos of our faces all over your body. And if you do less than that, I'm a bit disappointed. If you only have it on some of your body, if you only have one tattoo of one of our faces, that's just not good enough, frankly. And I think you need to do more. But anyway, until you get that done,
listener,
yeah,
because of you.
Exactly.
So.
Until you get that done, you can find us on the internet, on Twitter at Red Barrels Pod, and also on Blue Sky at redbarrelspodcast.bsky.social. Me personally, you can find me at Alex Dean, AlexDyn on Twitter, and the same thing on .bsky.social. I'm not going to look at my co-hosts who are not laughing at me because they care about me, despite what you were just hearing. They deeply support me in all of my endeavors and my slight flub of my own name. All right.
I'm so proud of you, buddy. You made it through.
Let's see you guys do better. Let's see you guys do better. Who else is here?
I stream on Twitch. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Sofrely. That's SOFREELY.
Unbelievable.
What about you?
You can find me on on Blue Sky at Not a Lemon. I'm not going to spell it. And on Twitter at Still Not 11. STILLNOTALEMO.
These rifts are opening ever wider every second, aren't they?
I'm crying.
Unbelievable. As always, we've got incredible music from Brilliant Drink. We've got no riffs with them. But until next week, when we'll have games, this episode's over. And so I will be saying goodbye.
Bye.
All right.
I
Love
just
to
dry
end in
my face
Acrimony.
off.
Yeah. Love to get some beef.
RBP.
Exactly. We'll keep people on their toes. They'll have to wait a whole week to see if we hate each other. All right. Shall we have a break?
Yeah.
I think Sophie needs to compose herself.
I'm composed.
All right.
Plenty composed.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys in a
Okay,
sec.
I'll be right back.